Amy, thanks for coming back on the Mindful Mama podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm happy to be here too. I always love talking with you.
I always love talking to you too. So as you know, I had a listener call in with a question, and I thought, this is kind of above my pay grade. I need some help.
Yes.
So you were the person I thought to ask, and we're gonna play the listener's question. Here it is.
Okay.
Okay, so this listener wants to have sexuality and sex positivity in raising teenagers. Daughter about to turn 16. She's already sexually active. And she doesn't want to be shame-free, so what does she say to her about the boyfriend? This is so fascinating because I was like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what to tell her, what to say. But, it's interesting. I was thinking about what would we have done in the past? It would have just been like, don't ask, don't tell policy, basically, right? If this was back in the day. And somehow I feel like maybe that was kind of appropriate to the situation. I don't know. What do you think, Amy?
Thank you for asking. First of all, of course, I have to say, I hope this child is birth controlled up one side and down the other. I'm assuming she is if the mom already knows that she's sexually active. And then, of course, condoms and all the usual stuff needs to be in play because, that's super important. But this is one of those things where you're kind of, my spouse is very funny. And what he said is, I don't want to hear it, see it, or smell it.
Yeah,
which is, so. I know, thank you. I don't want to think about it, right? Which is really kind of the thing, right? Like the safest place for them to have sex is at home. Mm-hmm. Many of us had sex in places that were not safe when we were teenagers. Cars, rando places that were not safe, sneaking, right? So the chance of being caught. So, as far as that's concerned, I'm a fan of kids being allowed to have sex in their own homes because it's safer. You're going to have condoms there. They aren't going to be It's shamey and shameful if they have to sneak around. So this is my values, right? Like we all know I'm a liberal crazy pants about this. But if you have to think about what is going to be the best thing for your kid, they're already having sex. Mm-hmm. So pretending like that's not happening as hard as that might, as tempting as that might be, it's just not the reality. So just being really clear about, this is okay. This is why. And we want you two to be safe. And then they're going to do what they're going to do. The boyfriend, honestly, Hunter, I don't remember what the boyfriend problem was. We might have to start over again. What was the boyfriend problem?
No, it's just the boyfriend, can the boyfriend come over in her room with the door closed? Oh, and right. We weren't really discussing. I mean, I don't know. Is there a need to discuss? I mean, I would feel like, okay, can I just react to what you're saying? Because I think that the whole idea of I support you and I want you to have a positive relationship with sexuality. I personally think there's nothing wrong with a teenager who's informed and, and safe and conscious in all these ways. I personally agree with you in those values that I would be okay with that person having sex. Humans are very sexual species, and that's a great part of life. It can be a great part of life. We know that our attitudes around sex impact our kids, and we want them to have a great sex life in the future. So if we start out positive, that's only good, right? And the idea of saying, I think that makes some sense to say yes, I'm gonna have condoms for you. I have this for you. I have this I have plan B in my house, even though I have a gay kid. You know what I mean? I'm ready for that. But then also saying and I don't really want to I don't know if I'd want to be so open to be like, I don't want to, I don't want to hear it, smell it, or see it, or any of that either. Like that would feel comfortable for me. So, but I mean, is there any responsibility we have to tell the boyfriend's family? Are there laws we have to consider? Like if we're just, I don't know. What do you say, Amy?
So I'm really glad to hear that you have Plan B, even though you have a gay kid, because they have friends.
Yeah, that's what friends. I figure.
So, okay, side note. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're on the same page with me. And I get that this is also kind of hard to think about because of the way we were raised and how it was, not okay and all the crap that happened to us. So with regard to the boyfriend and and his family or his parents, he knows his family. He knows if his parents are going to freak out if they find out about this. They're 16. I'm assuming they're about the same age, and they're capable of making a healthy decision about this. So if it is not safe for him to tell his parents what's going on, then I don't think you have an obligation as a parent to fill his family in. That's his responsibility. The good news is, under your watch, they're safe. Right?
Yeah.
Pregnancy is probably not going to happen, assuming it's all consensual, assuming everybody's having those conversations. That's where I stand with that. And I'm like thinking like, okay, how would I feel if Milo was having, whatever, he's 24, so he is having sex with his girlfriend. Like if Milo was a teenager and having sex and the other parents came to me, like what I want to know, like what is that like? And yeah, I'd want to know. And yeah, of course I'd want to know, but I'd want to hear it from my kid and not from another family. Yeah. That would feel intrusive and weird. But again, I get it. Like this is complicated and not complicated.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's complicated. It depends on what your values are. But this listener specifically said she wants to raise sex positive and have a sexually positive kids. So I mean, so I think that, I think, dear listener, I agree with the expert that it's okay. It's in fact, you're providing, like, you're lessening the shame for them. You're providing safety. You're providing acceptance, and you can provide that acceptance to your level of comfort. Like if you feel like, I don't know, you want to know less or more or whatever, like, okay, but yeah, it seems like the right and okay thing to do. This is interesting. I have not encountered this question yet with my kids.
You might never encounter it, right?
I don't know.
And it might be like my kid who said he'd never asked me a question. That's been really terrific.
Did he never ask you a question?
Not a word. Not a word.
The curse of being a sexuality educator's child.
Oh yeah, he was like I think he felt like his entire adolescence he was just acting out by not telling me anything. Like I'd say, you having any romance? No. Turns out I just found out that he had multiple girlfriends over the years. I had no idea. No idea. Yeah, it's been great. Anyway, he seems to be a delightfully well-adjusted human. So I just had another.
Is he able to talk about it now that he's 24?
Just. And he's been with his girlfriend since they were 19, and they have a really lovely relationship as far as I can tell. He's just a very closed kind of human. Private, that's the word. He's really private. But yeah, we just had a conversation where I was like, say more. And he's like, what do you want to know? And I was like, okay, thank you. But that's brain development. I have a friend who's got kids who are about 4 years older than him, maybe a little bit older. She's like, Amy, just hang in there. Hang in there. When he gets to be 24, 25, he'll start talking. And he's talking. So... Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a few more thoughts just on this topic. So a couple things. So first of all, they should be going to her appointments for birth control together. That should be something they go together, because he's the person that can get her pregnant 24/7. He's the person that needs to be just as aware and responsible as she is. And so establishing with her and with him that when you're in a relationship with someone, you go get STI tests together. You do your Planned Parenthood clinic, whatever appointment together. And you don't have to have an exam anymore, that they just talk to you. There's no reason to look at somebody's business unless there's a problem. And so that establishes, like, this is how you have open communication in your relationship. This is how you take your sex life seriously. And if your kid is not willing, or the other kid's not willing, that's a red flag. That's a red flag, right? And if your child is like super private and doesn't want them there, they can have time with the provider alone, and then the other partner comes in. Because if we keep putting all the pressure on the person that can get pregnant, that's leaving him out of the decision, the responsibility, right? Even though ultimately the person who gets pregnant is going to have to deal with a whole bunch of crap, lovely crap. A whole bunch, right? If we don't start actively including our impregnators in this, if we don't start actively making sure they understand, like with Milo, we said, if somebody gets pregnant, you're on the hook. You're on the hook. You will be parenting if they want to parent. If they want to terminate, you're going to be on the hook for that. If they want to give the baby up for adoption, that's it. You are in for whatever they want, and you are not going to like step back from that person, that child. You will be involved in that child's life. And I think that every parent should tell their boys that. I think that should be like, these are our values. So, and there's a book called Ejaculate Responsibly that's fabulous, and that's so cool. Every human being should read it. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It is about men taking over the fact and being responsible for the fact that they, from the age 11 or so until they are dead, they can get people pregnant. Wow. For female-bodied people, we're like, I don't know, 4 days out of the month from 12 until 50-something, right? So, we have to flip the script, right? We have to flip the script. The book's terrific. Terrific, yeah. Book's terrific. Highly, highly recommend. If you have a kid that's 15, 12 and older, everybody should read it. Everybody should read it, because it's the way it should be. It's the way it should be. They should be like condoms. You use a condom until you know for sure your partner is on some kind of birth control. Every single time you use a condom. Every single time. Because who wants to be involved in a unplanned pregnancy, right?
No one.
No one.
No one.
No one, frankly. No one. No, thank you. Especially with teenagers. Anyway, so yeah.
I love that.
So just in sum, yes to the closed door. Yes to sex at home. Yes to making sure that they are able to communicate openly. No one's being coerced. Yes to going to medical appointments together. And no to telling the other family, unless there's a reason.
Okay. All right. I think that's going to be an awkward conversation of like, hey babe, so my mom says you should come to me to this appointment. I mean, I guess if it were both of their first times, would they need to go if they are using condoms?
Absolutely. We want everybody involved in the entire sexual relationship. Okay. And generally speaking, I don't advocate for parking children and talking with them. This is a park them and say, I feel really awkward, but I just need to tell you this. This is what's happening. Y'all need to make an appointment. You need to go to get the birth control together. You need to be taking care of this together, and offer to make the appointment for them. I just actually had this very same conversation with a mom, exactly the same thing. And that was the same thing. Like, should I make the appointment? I'm like, you can make the appointment if there's some reason your perfectly capable child cannot.
Okay. But what if they don't need prescription birth control, if they are using other forms of birth control that are over the counter?
They need to be using some kind of prescription birth control. If they're just using condoms, the chance of pregnancy, they have to use them consistently every single time in the same way. So that tallywhacker can get in there without a condom. Whoops. They can ejaculate, and down there, and little swimmers can get swimming. Okay. I know not every literal body can handle hormonal birth control, but there are so many options now. It is really important that that's that's what happens as best they can. And if your kiddo's already has an IUD or an implant or something like that, if you're a person that can get pregnant, that's great. But you still want to park them and say, just checking in. What's happening with, have you had STI testing? Off you go. For everybody should have STI testing before they have a new partner, unless it's for sure their first time together, right?
Yeah.
Together. Again, like my whole thing right now is like, get the responsibility handed to the penis haver. Like, give them something instead of just riding along with us taking care of everything. It's not fair.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Once again, I am in the lovely place of being the by proxy parent, feeling very awkward about this.
Yeah, I know. Every time we talk, you're like, oh no. It cracks me up. I'm happy to help you be uncomfortable, and I motivate you. I know I motivate you.
Yeah, I think our other conversations have been more about little kids. And dear listener, in the outro for this, I'll tell you the episode numbers. So if you want to go and listen to them, you can listen to our conversations about little kids. But we haven't actually had like we haven't had a talk about teens at all. And it's interesting, I guess, because maybe it's because now that like I've been putting in you did sex talks for tweens, which is Amy's amazing book, and I utilized that a lot with especially daughter number 2, who was more open to it than daughter number 1, who would go kicking and screaming into the night every time. But daughter number 2 is now very, very well informed. I'm assuming daughter number 1 is, because she's very informed about everything, but Good. She will fight me tooth and nail about any kind of conversation.
Fine.
But you had some other conversations about teens come up, and well, let's jump to your question from a listener about preteens, which I think was so good. My preteen wants to know when I had sex for the first time and how many partners I've had. How do I answer it? This is a really interesting question for me, because what we just talked about. Because for me, I got pregnant with my first boyfriend when I was 15, and when it wasn't even like full intercourse. It was like pre-cum.
Yeah.
And it got me pregnant when I was 15, and I had to have an abortion, or chose to have an abortion. And so I've told both my daughters that. I told them both that around when they were about 15, actually. Just to, just because I want them to know that. Yeah. And because for me, when that happened to me in my life, at first, I tried to like hide it from my parents and get a judicial bypass, and then I did. And then I found out how much money it was in the state of Rhode Island, all these things, and then I left my diary open on the table.
Nice.
I subconsciously did it. I did not consciously want to do that, but part of me, I guess, maybe did. It's so fascinating, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then it all came out. And I got the support I needed from my mom.
Good.
Yeah, but so I wanted them to know, because also when that happened to me, I found out then that my aunt, had, and so also in the family had also had an abortion. And it was like, it wasn't just me. And that was really a big relief. So I wanted them to know, like, hey, when we talk about the sex stuff and this pregnancy stuff, this is serious, because this happened this happened to your mom, your straight A, smarty pants mom.
Yeah.
So, it can happen to you too. So anyway, what do you say to this, I guess, this person who's,
young.
Preteen wants to know when I had sex for the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, and how many partners I have. I'm not sure I would. No one's asked me that. I'm glad they haven't asked.
Right. It's the same. I just alluded. I mean, look at my work, right? Let's just do the math, people. So a couple things. So with a preteen asking that, you can, with any kid, really, you can say, tell me what's going on? What makes you ask that? Because you want to do a little like, what's happening here? And that's like, I got to kind of manage myself. What's up? Tell me what you're thinking. Sounds like you're just curious about when it's okay to have sex for the first time. So do that to them. I mean, you know what I mean. And then I believe in honesty. And so what I would say is, like, I'll just give you my example, which was what I said to Milo. I don't remember when he asked me, and I think it's perfectly fine for a preteen to have like this information. So what I said was, well, I had sex for the first time when I was just about 18. I, wish things had happened differently. I had met this guy and my friends told me I should do it. And so I picked him. He was 23. So I would say he's old. He was older than me. And, I had birth control and I felt it was my choice and he was lovely. And it was just fine for me. It was okay. What I hope for you is that you do it differently, that you're with someone that you love, that you have a really close relationship, that you're able to talk with them about, what's happening, like what kind of birth control if you're having penis and vagina sex, that you are able to communicate really openly together and make the decision together, and that you're in a safe place. Like, you can have sex at home if you want to. And so, yeah, that's that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Would you give like an age recommendation to the preteen?
Yes. Yes. So we never say wait until marriage or until you're 30. What you say is, ideally you're older, like about my age, about 17. That was good. I felt good about making the decisions, but everybody has a different time for this. And so what I hope is that if you're in a relationship and you're thinking about this, just let me know, right? I want to make sure you feel good, that you've got birth control, that like everything's in place for you, and you feel comfortable and confident about what's next for you in your relationship. So yeah, later teenage years is best. Honestly, 28 is best, but we don't get to say that. We want full brain development. Brain development.
I know,
anyway,
but
I know. Yeah, 20, like late teens is better. But you know what? You just say, I'm not going to, that's my hope, right? That's my hope.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's my hope.
I think that sounds like a nice way of putting it, my hope is late teens and being honest with your kid. I mean, I guess depending on your own personal story, and there are extremes on either ends of those, and you may feel uncomfortable sharing your own personal stories.
So I don't share if your first sexual experience was abusive. What you could also say is, the first time I had sex, I was about 17, and when I think about it, it was okay, but what I wish is da 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 da.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I gave a lot of detail. You might want to give your teenager more detail, but like, this is what I wish, da 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 da. And then the how many partners question, with a teenager, you can just say, let's just say I made a lot of poor choices. Or you could say, when I think about how many partners I've had, that is kind of a personal question. What I hope for you is you feel really great about the people you choose to have sex with.
Yeah.
And if they push on you, then you can be like, I just feel like weird and uncomfortable talking with you about this. The average number of partners people have is 10, 5, I can't remember. Mm-hmm. So, there you go. Look at that shiny thing over there.
Yeah, I think we might have ice cream in the freezer.
I do, and I'm going to go eat it by myself in a corner with a spoon. Please go away from me, because I've experienced some slight trauma.
Oh my gosh. It's interesting because, like from what I've read, about teens, like their teen pregnancy is way down, all of those things, but it's because teens are not connecting with each other in the same way we were. I was hanging out with my daughter the other night, and she was funny. She likes to knit and crochet, my 18-year-old, and she was like, do you think because I do grandma activities and like when I'm a grandma, I'll be doing like whatever? I was like, I don't know. We were just joking about it. And I said, I don't know. I said, I definitely didn't do that when I was a teenager. I said, but I also think when I was a teenager, we all just spent a lot more time like hanging out with each other than you guys do. Not that she has friends, they do hang out from time to time, but I remember like every afternoon or
Constant.
most afternoons, I
Abs-
would be with my friends.
Absolutely. Constantly together, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
And if you don't have access, physical access to people, of course you're not going to be learning how to have sexual or romantic relationships in a real way. In a
Yeah.
real way. And, it's really too, I mean, I'm thrilled about the teen pregnancy rate. I'm not thrilled about our teenagers' inability to have social intercourse, right? To talk to
Yeah.
each other and to be together without being on their phones and without like having that barrier of communication, because it is a barrier. Like there's no nuance in a text. We've all gotten into trouble with texting, right? Like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, I thought you meant this. I just had a thing with my brother-in-law. He really went sideways with it. And I was like, no, that is not what I meant, because there was no, there was no
Oh.
tone. I was being
Mm-hmm.
sarcastic about something. He thought I was serious. And,
Doesn't work on text.
oh yeah,
Amy.
anyway, yeah. So I think that it's not normal now,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not normal now. And so it just makes it a lot harder when kids are boyfriend girlfriending or girlfriend girlfriending or boyfriend boyfriending or whatever. When they're in their romantic relationships, they're missing out on the steps to it, and a whole lot of it is taking place over text. Kids are sexting and sending nudes and all kinds of stuff, which is so not good and not safe. Because when a minor takes a picture of themselves, that's creating child sexual abuse material. And then when they send it to their intended, that's trafficking child sexual abuse material.
And people have been put on the sex offender registries for this. Like teenagers
Right.
have been
And
put, which is crazy.
It's not, the laws have not caught up, right? Still, like I've been saying that for 15 years, right? And anyway, and the other reason that kids are not engaging in so much sexual activity is because of porn. So boys tend to use more than girls, and they're getting their rocks off that way. It's a lot easier to do your business with a pretend person and take care of that than it is to be with a real person. They're instantly accessible. The problem is that the kind of end result of all the porn consumption is that kids think that sex starts in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see the hand holding, the awkwardness, the kissing, the making out, but they see as parts and wholes. They see multiple partners. They see a lot of violence. They see a lot of misogyny and sexism. And then they see these bodies. Like the penises these people have are massive. And the average erect penis is the size of a dollar bill. It's that long. It's like 5 inches. So if you think my dick is tiny, well, it's not. It's normal. And then for the girls, they think they should not have any pubic hair. I just got in trouble with someone about my anti-shaving removal status. They think you should be everybody thinks they should be hairless,
Which is so weird. It's like
so gross. It
well,
just grosses me out. And then
I mean, a trim, like some, trim up the edges. Like I don't want to see it coming out of the edge of a bathing suit.
Right. It's not. I agree with that. What I don't agree with, so I might get in trouble again, is like shaving the whole thing. Who has no pubic hair?
Prepubescent girls.
Children.
Yeah, children.
And
yeah,
so super gross to me. You do you. But one thing I will say is that if you are raising human beings and you are naked in front of your children, grow it back. They need to see a natural body, normalize a natural body. This person got mad at me about me saying that. Anyway, it's your body, it's your child, but you don't want your child. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it anymore, but it just grosses me out. Grosses my spouse out. Like, why would you want to have sex with a child-looking vulva? How is that attractive? Okay, gross. We can take this out if you want.
No. We're keeping it. Amy, I think this is the second time we've had
the pubic hair conversation.
Yeah. It's fine. I'm for it. Listener, obviously everybody has their own opinion, but yeah, I'm for it. Okay, so the porn is making them think sex is really unrealistic. On the positive side, for girls, there's a lot of like really great literary, hot,
Yeah.
sexy, steamy stuff that includes a lot of female pleasure and a lot of like building up to female pleasure. In fact, Sora and I shared this in another with another person I had on the podcast. We watched the Bridgerton season last fall together, where there was a losing of virginity that was actually I have to watch it again so I can really remember. But I remember thinking like, this is actually kind of realistic in some way, and this is actually kind of positive, and I thought they did a good job, and we talked about it. It was really cool. So on the positive side, like there is the porn, but at least for the girls and the hetero girls, particularly, probably also with the gay girls, it's
Sure.
just not something I personally. I read a lot of the sort of hetero YA, but not so much in the gay YA because it's just not my thing, and. And for the girls, it seems like there's a lot of like the expectation of their own having sexual relations and their own pleasure being a big part of it seems to be more there than when I was
Yes,
that
for
age.
sure. Oh, for sure. There's a lot of good feminist, naughty literature out there, and lots of kids are reading it, and that's a much safer place to get your rocks off because you're imagining, imagining what those people look like. So let me just use Outlander as an example.
Mm.
I am a redhead, and generally speaking, I am not attracted to other redheads, but whoever I had in my head as Jamie, I was good with. But then when they did the series, I am like, ugh, no.
Oh, we
Very
have
sad.
got to agree to disagree there, my
No,
friend.
because I'm just like, oh, gross, that's not who I had in my head. Or like Harry Potter, great example. Who I had in my head for all those characters were different, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're
Yeah, yeah.
different, right? So when we read, we get to use our imagination, right? We get to use our imagination. When you see porn, there's no imagination. There's no imagination at all. You're being told what's pleasurable. You're being told what to like, and then it makes it really hard to get off when you're with somebody for real because that's so hyper stimulating. And if you've been wanking a bunch, it's really like when you're with a real person, the entire experience is different. So yeah. Anyway,
So if you're a parent of a boy, what is your advice then? Like for them, like, you know, please, hopefully it's please masturbate because we know that that's terrible when people don't do that, right?
right.
It's good to know what gives you pleasure, but maybe you want to tell your son that like this can desensitize you for what it's going to be like with real people later if you engage with this a lot because it could make things worse later for you.
Yeah, you tell
Yeah.
them that. You tell them that, and then you make sure everything's locked down, and then have a hard time accessing it under your watch. A couple other things you can do for kids is get the joy of sex, and the one from the 70s is full of people having sex in
Oh.
different positions and how to do it. It's very sex positive. It's probably really heterosexist. I know it is, but in some ways that's okay because it's much safer to point them there. For get back issues of Playboy and Playgirl, you can't get them physical copies anymore, but eBay's full of them, and like it's much better for them to be looking at a still photograph than it is for them to be looking at video. And so, nobody wants to be providing their child with masturbation material, but also you don't want them to be using porn for that, which they're gonna do it. They're gonna use it. They're gonna get into it. And not every child gets like hooked into it. But for neurodivergent kids in particular, stickier brain, more likely to get kind of hooked into using porn just because of their wiring. So making sure there are safe alternatives for everybody is really important.
Whew. Every time I talk to you, Amy,
I know.
gotta
always
like
get
do some
to-
deep breaths
I know.
after.
I know. I love talking to you, and I always feel like I'm like leaving you in a little bit of trauma, but this is good, right?
It's
You're
good.
learning,
It's
You're
good.
going to be able to support your parents and your sweet listeners and all that. But yeah, there's just so much. But the thing y'all need to remember and know is that you have the most power and influence over your children's sexual health, their sexuality, how they see themselves, their future relationships. You have a ton of power and influence, and so Your job is to use it for good and help get them ready, right? Get them ready for this part of life. You can't get them to not do it.
Yeah, when they turn 11 and 12, you would be amazed at how fast you're looking down the barrel of 18 and them going to college. It's so fast. So, like, you don't have any time to wait.
No.
You have to have these conversations. I really, really highly recommend Amy's book, Sex Talks for tweens or with tweens.
It's Sex
for.
Talks with Tweens, what to
With
say
tweens.
and how to say it. It's scripts.
Yes, it's
scripts.
so helpful. It really, really helps. So I would look at a thing, I'd be like, okay, we haven't talked about that yet. It's like, oh God, I haven't talked about blowjobs with my kid. Yikes. And will I ever? I guess I should. I want her to know about it from me. I don't want to have her learn about it in a crazy situation. So I had a script. I knew what to say. I read it. And then we had, of course, the proverbial car ride where she couldn't escape. And I said, this is going to be awkward, but I need to tell you these things about this.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Yeah. And everyone survived.
We all survived. She's pretty well educated now.
Yeah, good. That's what we want, right? I'll take pretty well over not at all.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't given her a quiz.
Right, that's right. You don't need to.
Okay, thanks. Phew. Okay, so thank you so much, Amy. I so appreciate you coming and helping me answer this listener question. Where can people find out more about you and bring you into their schools and communities to do great talks for them and etc.?
So my website is birdsandbeesandkids.com. That is probably the best place to connect with me. I have years of blogging. I have my online solutions center for parents of all kids, neurotypical and neurodivergent. It's a one-stop shop for sex talking. And I'm on social media. It's Birds, Bees, Kids. And what else? That's it. And then a little freebie for y'all down there in the magical areas is 7 tips to have great sex talks. So that's something I only give to people like you, sister. So awesome. It's like an easy guide to get the party started or to get you, motivated to keep going.
All right. Well, we have bared it all today, talked about it all. Thank you so much. Yeah. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm sure I will have more questions soon. So
okay. Sounds good. I'll be back.
Talk to you then.
I'll be back to make you a little bit flushed.
To make me sweat a little.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And thank you so much, as always, for trusting me with your people. I just so respect you and love you and just really appreciate it.